Hi everyone, welcome to Make Moments Matter, a music education podcast, where I share lesson ideas, songs, games, and inspiring things for your elementary music classroom. My name is David Rao, and I am the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. This episode of the podcast is a replay containing the audio version of a Musical Mondays live video. If you're not familiar with Musical Mondays, every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I go live on Facebook and Instagram to share about the lessons that I'm using in class with my students. I give a recap of my kindergarten through 5th grade lessons, and then do a deep dive about one grade level and share the books, instruments, songs, and process that I use to teach the lesson to kids. This podcast episode contains all the audio from the Musical Mondays video, but if you'd like to see a replay of the video itself, you can find a link to the archived video on YouTube when you click the link in the notes for this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Here's the show. Hi everyone, my name is David Rao, and I'm the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. You can also find my ideas on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, and a variety of other places when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter. I'm excited that you're hanging out with me tonight. It's my last Musical Mondays video of the school year, which feels totally crazy to say, but it's exciting to say because that means the school year is almost over. We almost made it to the end. So tonight I'm going to be talking about some lessons that you can use through the end of the school year that might work with your students, but who knows, because kids are weird all times of year, but especially at the end of the year. So I put out a question earlier saying like, hey, what do you want me to talk about? What are you most interested in? One of your questions. And so many people said end of year lessons. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Some things that may or may not work, but let's talk through them anyway. Before I get to that, if you hear about anything that you're interested in, you want to learn more about, I have a whole page dedicated on my blog to the links I talk about and the resources I talk about in these videos. You can find that if you go to makemomentsmatter.org and click on the videos tab and use the drop down to find this current school year. Or you can just, wherever you're watching, listening, there's probably a link on the caption that will take you there. One more thing, if you are still excited about music learning at the end of the school year and you want to think about what can I do this summer to make myself a better music teacher / better person, I would encourage you to think about doing trainings this summer either in Orff Schulwerk or Kodály or whatever practice you feel, world music drumming that feels good for you and you're interested in. Reach out and take that step. It is absolutely worth it. As someone who's done my Orff levels and just so greatly benefited from it, I can absolutely say it is worth your time and money, because it is time and money and investment, but it's an investment in you, it's an investment in your students, an investment in your future. Go and check it out. If you're like, hey, I'm really interested and I want to spend my time this summer learning in beautiful Orange County, Florida, come and check it out. I'm teaching level 1 this summer with the Central Florida Orff chapter. We're going to be doing Orff level 1 in Orlando this summer, the first couple weeks of June. If you're interested, come join us. It's going to be so much fun. On the weekend in between week 1 and week 2, I'm going to go to Disney, so you should come to Disney. It'd be so much fun. Or whatever else you want to do, have an orange or whatever in Florida. There's so much to do. But go to the beach, see the, rockets, whatever. Anyway, there's stuff to do. Okay, so enough of that. Let's get talking about end of year lessons, because that's what most people are asking about. They're like, hey, what do you do at the end of the year? What is the thing with the least amount of prep, or the thing that's the most successful? And I'll just say, I don't know. Because kids are weird, and what works one year may not work another year, and what works well with one class may not work well with another. So I'm going to give you 5 different things you can do at the end of the year, things that I have done, things that I am doing, things that I plan to do, especially for upper grades, so that you can make this end of the year a little bit easier. Like I said, I don't know, maybe it won't work for you, maybe it will. The first thing I'm going to say, so that 5 different sort of lesson ideas. So the first thing I'm going to say is that with my 5th graders especially, I like to get them really sort of embedded in playing and doing something that they're excited about and successful about. So I wait and I teach them ukulele in the last quarter of the school year. And I've thought about moving it up further in the year, and just because of the way my school year works, it just doesn't work as well for me to do that. So a couple things that are in my favor. One, they're really excited about ukulele. They really want to play. They love playing along, and especially with like YouTube play-alongs, things like that. So they're super, super motivated. I sent out an email when we started out like playing ukulele, sent it to all the parents saying like, hey, here's a website where you can learn more about how to play the ukulele. Here's some really great examples. And if you want to go buy one, here are 12 different ones that are really great. And if you want to, find another one you really like, send me an email. I'd be happy to consult so that your kid can get a really cool ukulele to play at home. Anyway, kids are very, very excited about it. And so it's super motivating. And I push them. I go pretty quick, adding new chords, adding new things so that they can play along, strum along, and do more quickly. So that is super, super motivational. If you're interested in how I teach them to do ukulele or like the process for that, I did a whole course, an online course about that. You can do sort of at your own speed. They are not synchronous videos, or asynchronous, so you can watch and do however you want at whatever pace you want. There's a link to that on the links page, or you can just go to courses.makemomentsmatter.org. But that, like I said, ukulele is like it's the super motivational. Kids are really excited about it. So that's one of the things that I plan to do towards the end of 5th grade. You could do it in other grades. I would not do ukulele younger than 4th grade. That's just my own personal thought, but I talk about that in the course. But anyway, it's one of the things that's motivational. So whether that's ukulele or whether that's drumming, whether that's more time on the Orff instruments are very inspirational for kids and can keep them more focused. Not always, but can. Okay, so another thing that I love to do towards the end of the year is spend more time playing interactive games. Kids really love them through the year, and so I like to have a bunch of games ready to go because my students, this is also the time of year where like kids are gone on field trips, or only one homeroom has gone on a field trip and the other one is not, or kids come at your weird time, and so it's like a lot. I feel like in this last month there are a lot of those like, I randomly have so-and-so's class for an extra 20 minutes than I should, but no one else in the grade level, so how do I plan for that? So I'm very lucky my students are one-to-one with iPads. Even if we weren't, we could use my iPad and the projector. We could use just a computer. There are a lot of ways you could do these interactive games, but I have like my interactive game like folder on the side of my desk, like ready to go, so that when we need them, we can try them out. So I've got a couple examples here. These are things that I've created over the years, but there are many games out there, but these are the ones. So like this one is just purely a rhythm game. Kids can just scan the QR or put in the URL on their website or on a computer or whatever, Chromebook, and it pulls up. It's an interactive game that they can click through and play. So this one specifically is like finding the rhythm in words. So like words of animals at the zoo, they have to find or figure out what the rhythm is and click the correct rhythm that's associated with that word. And if they do it, they get to move on. Super fun game. They really like it. Here's another game. This one is specifically listening. So, so this one is specifically listening. And if you see, it has quarter notes, eighth notes, quarter rest, half notes, and 16th notes. They are given an example that they can play either at a normal speed or a slow speed, and then they can go through and they have to click the answer that is correct. They get like 3 options, and it's like ta-dee, ta-dee, taka-dee-me ta, or is it ta-dee, ta, taka-dee-me ta. They have to click the correct example, and then they get to move on, and they win gems. Again, super motivational. This is the same exact game, except it does not include 16th notes, just half notes. So for this game, I think that you can get, I made it several years ago, you can get different levels, different versions of it, depending on what rhythm you want them to focus on. But that's another one that's really good to do with headphones. So here's the same thing, only this one doesn't have half notes. It's only quarter notes, eighth notes, and quarter rests. Okay, and then one more, and they really like this one because it's very interactive. It's called Shark Attack. And this is a QR game where they have to choose the correct thing, or else a shark comes out and bites their wrong answer. But I have QR games for treble clef, for instruments of the orchestra, for common music symbols, for rhythms, especially for listening, because especially this time of the end of the year, like I remember last year there was a 5th grade class that like I had randomly seen them like 2 times more than anyone else. And I was like, we're going to use these QR games and interactive games. We're going to try some. And they were like, Mr. Rao, we're about to be middle schoolers. Shouldn't be able to do any of these. And I was like, You should, yes. So like I put a bunch of them out and I let them go and explore and try, and they had so much fun, and it was great review. They were on task. They were like showing each other, playing together. So super fun. Gamify the end of the year. They're not just playing games; they are learning while playing games. So it's like, woo, win. Okay. So first thing I would say, some sort of instrument unit or something at the end, like I do ukulele. I love using interactive games, especially QR games, especially if they can do like headphones or like be independent. Those are fun, but you can do it large group too if you want. Like if you have up on a smart board, you can have them go through and play as a class. That's another thing you could do. Third thing, I love to talk about music in film or music in movies or in TV. There's this really cool video that I linked on the links page that shows a couple different scenes, and it talks about how music can be used in film to help you understand the intent of the creator or to help you feel certain things. And so it takes a clip from a scene and it'll play it with like intense music, and then it'll play it with sad music, and then it'll play it with, you know, different ways to use music to take the scene and change the context based on the background music or the supplemental music. Really cool, about a 5-minute video on YouTube. It's free, it's out there. And I like to show that to kids, and then I show them another example. And it's one where there's a trailer for Star Wars 9, and you can play the trailer with music, and there's another video that I have that's linked, the trailer without any music. And the trailer without any music is like eerie and odd. And kids think that it's super odd and super weird, and they react to it. And then you play it with the music, and they're like, whoa, it's like such a different experience. So I like to let them see that. We talk a little bit about that. We talk about how music can influence what you think. And sometimes when there is no music, that's almost scarier in like scary movies or something, because you don't know what to expect. At least when you hear suspenseful music, you know something's about to happen. But when there's no music, it doesn't give you any sort of warning. So we talk about how music can influence different things. And then, okay, I'm going to try and use technology. Let's see if it works. Sometimes technology wants to work. We'll see. Okay, let me see if I can flip this video around. Okay, so this is an app for iPad called Toon Train. It's free. We'll see if it works. So this is a cool app called Toon Train, and the cool thing about it, I don't know if I'm able to play the sound, I feel like I'm not gonna, is that you can go here to levels, and basically what you can do, you can choose any of these levels. Yeah, okay, so you can go through and it chooses a melody. You can create a melody going up and down. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before, by choosing just little stations here. And as you go, you got to create your own little melody. Sometimes you can skip, sometimes you can't. Let's see, get to the end. Okay, and it will display the notation you've come up with along the way, which is cool. And so like if you change one, if you change one, it changes on the notation, right? So that's cool. You don't have to have that, but it's a cool app, and then it'll play it for you. Of course you can't hear it because, of course, my sound doesn't want to work right now because that's the way technology happens for me. Anyway, so it goes along and it plays it, and as you go, so what you created with just iconic notation, it will play back for you. And then, like I said, it also will play it with the written notation, so kids can see that happening as well. That's cool. But the thing that ties it into this like film music is you can play it with backing tracks. So if you play this melody you've done without any track, that's cool to hear. Then if you play it with a classical track, that's cool. If you play it with Latin, it's the same melody. It just sounds different. And you play it with the rock track, it's the same thing. It just, it completely sort of changes the tone of what you've created based on what backing track you have. So this is just one level. I think if I press this blue button, I think it's going to take, if I can exit back to my levels. And then each of these, like different levels, has different backing tracks. So let's look at Cordy Candyland or whatever it is. So this has classical, Latin, and pop as backing tracks. Let's see what another one might have. Goodnight Graveyard. What does that have? Classical, hip hop, and Latin. Okay, let's do one more. I think my favorite level is, I think it was Rock and Rainbow because it had like sort of cool track. Yeah, pop, rock, pop, or rock. So it has some really fun tracks, but kids get really into this because they like being able to like create a melody, number one, and then also hear what it sounds like with different tracks and not even changing anything about the melody, but only changing the backing track. That really does change the overall feel of the piece, which is very, very cool. That's called Tune Train, T-U-N-E, Train. It's an app for iPad. I'm pretty sure it's free because my district lets us download it to all the kid devices, and they don't let us do that unless it's a free app. So I'm pretty sure it's free, but it's a super cool app. Not at all like crazy sophisticated, but what you can do with it is really, really wonderful and a great example. Even if you're like, I don't want to deal with this backing track stuff. If you just want to talk about melodic shape, or when the sound goes up, icons going up, it's great for that. So I use it at younger levels to talk about that, like melodic contour, but also for older grades when we're talking about the impact of music. They've done this in previous grades, so they like coming back to Tune Train and then just feeling, how does it feel different based on the backing track you add. That's a really fun thing to do. Okay, another example of something fun you can do with older grades that puts them sort of in teams, or not pits them against one another, but like lets them sort of work at gamify your learning, I guess, is to try something like this. So let me see if, again, I'm going to try and show you my iPad screen. We'll see if this works. Okay, so this is I'm just using this because I want to show you an example here. So, and I don't have like a whiteboard with me. So on my, let me change this color here. So I'm just going to use some pretty basic rhythms here. So quarter note, eighth notes, quarter note, quarter rest, and then the crazy ones, quarter note, eighth notes, and then let's see. Okay, let's see. Let's just check to make sure my microphone is working. 2 eighth notes and a quarter note. Okay, so what I have students do first initially is to just come up with examples for each of these. So let's say that we're using like food examples, because I love using food examples. So something for a quarter note would be like apple, right? Okay, so that's a word that would work. Or let's see, carrot. Okay, how about for toddy, the 2 sets of eighth notes? Watermelon. Okay, or another one, peanut butter. Okay, and then for rest, could be like salt, milk, right, anything. So going through and adding for the categories is great. So let me just go really quickly here. Blueberry, and then like, let's see, what's a good carrot cake? Oh, I already have carrot up there. Oh, okay, carrot. Okay, now for the top line, I'm probably going to go through and just choose one of these. So let me just choose, I'm going to use milk. Okay, so now I have my 5 categories for I have apple. Toddy is watermelon. Rest is milk. Toddy is blueberry. And toddy is carrot cake. Okay, so you could make a super huge long list and let kids come up with something, multiple things for each category, and then decide which ones you like the best. And then I would say, okay, I'm going to give you foods, and you need to clap me back the rhythm. So I could do like apple, watermelon, and they go, right? Or watermelon, milk. I'd probably send them like, okay, I'm going to do 4 foods, and then you have to clap me back the rhythm. Let's see. Carrot cake, apple, milk. And they go, carrot cake, apple, milk. right? Okay, and so then what'd be really fun, you do that several times. You could let them work in partners and have to do the same thing where one kid comes up with 4 different elements and the other kid has to clap it or pat it or whatever, play it on a non-pitch instrument. And I usually say, like, you know, you can reuse one of those things. So like if you say like blueberry apple, blueberry milk, you can reuse if you want. You could even do carrot cake, apple. Just try not to do 4 of the exact same, right? So you can give them some sort of parameters if you feel like it. If not, no big deal. Okay, so with this, then we can level up and we could go even trickier. You could say, okay, well, I'm going to give you a rhythm and you need to tell me what the fruits are. Okay, so here's my first one. I'm going to do 2 foods and I'm going to clap it and you need to tell me what the foods are that I just did. Okay, I'm going to just do 2 of these foods. Okay, so here I go. I'll do that again. And hopefully they can figure out that that's watermelon apple, right? So like I could give them 2 of the foods and they could come up with the answer. And then you could have kids test one another, like in pairs or in a small group where one kid claps back 2 fruits or maybe 4 fruits or maybe 9 fruits. These are just foods because I have carrot cake. It's not a fruit. I did this once with all fruits, so I'm used to saying that with the fruits. So you could have kids do that together, and then what I like to do also is sort of like a culminating end of the class activity is have one small group come up with a pattern that they like, and the rest of the class has to figure out what it is. So like one small group. So it starts in small groups where they're just doing it with their friends, and then they do it with their small group for the class, and the class has to figure out what it is that they just performed. You could do this with fruit. You could do this with any other category of food, of word if you wanted to. But it's fun for them to figure out the connections between the claps, the actual words. It's fun. It's a challenge for them. They got to do some creation here. They got to do instruments if you want, or just body percussion. But it involves a lot of different elements and forces them to be more creative, which is a really fun thing. Okay, cool. So one more, and you don't have to use like my iPad. I just did that to quickly put a visual. The app that I use is like a virtual whiteboard is called Sketches School, SKETCHES, and then the school version. And I think that is also free, but I'm not completely certain. Okay, and then last thing number 5 of things you can do with kids at the end of the year is the ever famous cup game. So if you know the cup game, the clap, clap, pat, 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 clap, move over, clap, grab, up, down, dump, bump, you know, kids love to be like Pitch Perfect. And I was like, no, like me in summer camp in 1998 or whatever, you know. So like, yes, it was in Pitch Perfect. It was around long before that, right? So it's a camp favorite. It's a kid favorite. It's been around for a long time. So you could teach them the original if you haven't already this school year. And when I teach the cup game, like this is the perfect time to go buy cups because Target, Walmart, Meijer, anywhere, big box stores are starting to sell like stuff for summer. And I like to get the sort of small like juice glass sort of size. And they sell these in like sets of 4, 6, whatever. And they're so durable. Like you could do it with solo cups, but they're going to last one class. These last for years. So go buy your plastic cups now when like all the big box stores are putting out their like, buy it for summer or whatever. You'll get them in cool colors and patterns. Anyway, I bought a bunch of these several years ago. So I like to teach the basic cup game first, and on my blog I've linked to a blog I did where you can do it with the song I've Been to Harlem, I've Been to Dover. If you know that one, if you don't know that one, go check it out. I did a whole blog post about how you can teach that song and add the cup game. But my kids know the cup game, or maybe they learned it at home, so it's fun to like make sure the class knows the original cup game, right? We do it in groups, we do it in small groups, and then in the small groups then in individual, I say, great, now I want you to come up with a little cup thing that you can do on your own that repeats, that has some sort of cup routine. So kids on their own are coming with like, you know, trying different variations. We do it as like on our own first. So they just try different things, and then I'll like click a beat or I'll sing the song, and they have to do their pattern along with whatever it is I'm singing or playing, right? So that's like a first step. Then I'd say, great, now in a small group, a group of 4 to 6, you need to come up with a small pattern that you can do and recreate and come up with, and so then they create in small groups a small sort of cup passing pattern. And my rules are always keep it simple, be smart, be safe. So be smart and safe about what you're doing, how you're doing it, but keep it simple means start with the most simple idea first and then add complexity. Don't be like, okay, we're going to take the cups. We're going to start in a handstand. We're going to bounce the cup on our foot. Then we're going to do a backflip. I'm going to flip the cup onto your nose. Like there are always kids that want to start with that. And I'm like, how do we start crisscross first and do just a real simple thing and make sure we can do that and then add something a little bit more interesting? So I always say start with simple first. Simple is great. Simple that we can recreate and do over and over is really good. And then just slowly make it more complex. So I like I said, we do like the original version first, the original cup song. Original cup game, and then we slowly add more complexity, and by the end, in small groups, they're creating their own passing patterns. This usually takes a couple days because the first time you have to like teach them the original cup song, and then they can do more and more and more, so that like as time goes on, they have a lot more freedom. And I found when I did this a couple years ago that when I did the cup thing towards the end of the year, that then it showed up in the talent show, and kids were doing stuff like this on the playground, and it was just very fun to see what they can come up with and to give them that time and freedom to create in small groups. A lot of the things I talked about today, you could also like take a video and share it through Seesaw or share it with parents or just have it for your portfolio or whatever. But just because these are like end of year lessons doesn't mean they're not super duper valuable, like as far as curriculum and teaching and learning and thinking. So take any of them and take videos and create memories with them, because it's all super fun stuff that you can do, but also stays curricular. Okay, so today I talked about 5 things that you can do towards the end of the year. If you're just joining, you can go back and listen. I'm going to post this as a podcast, but also post the video on YouTube and on Facebook. But I talked about using like some sort of instrumental unit sort of thing at the end of the year. I use ukulele, but you could also do drums, you could do Orff instruments, you could do whatever. Penny whistles. I mean, if you want. Kazoos. I wouldn't, but you could. I like talking about QR games because I especially have those ready, like I said when I was talking a little earlier, that like there are always those times where like, oh no, we can't go on the field trip because it rained, so you have this class unexpectedly. It's great to have all these QR games, and I linked a bunch of examples on my links page. I talked about film music and how you can talk with kids about how the backing track or accompaniment tracks, things like that, change the feel of film or change the feel, and how you can sort of try that out on your own with this cool app called Tune Train. And I talked about the connection between like body percussion and rhythm and how you can have kids challenge each other. And then I just talked about the cup game and how you can let kids sort of improvise and create on their own. Those are the things I talked about today. I hope that gave you some ideas for end of the year. But like I said, who knows if any of these will work, because kids at the end of the year, unknown. They are a different kind of kid than beginning of the year kid. So try them out, see if any of these works. Send me a message and tell me that didn't work, and I'll say, yep, I warned you. But anyway, I hope some of these ideas gave you some ideas. As I said also at the beginning of the video, if you're thinking about this summer and how can you make yourself a better educator and how can you learn and grow, think now and decide now that you want to do a training this summer, or Shulver, Kodály, World Music Drumming, whatever, that you think is going to be super beneficial and help you grow as a person and grow as an educator. I promise it's going to be worth the time and effort and money that you put into it. But those courses are filling up now, so check them out now. If you want to come join us in Orlando, I'm going to help with an Orff course there in Orlando. I'm teaching level 1. So if you have no experience with Orff Shulver or you just want to get back to the basics, come join us. You can find more on the links page on my blog, but also you can just search the Central Florida Orff chapter and look for levels courses. And I hope you'll join us. All right, y'all, it's been such a fun year sharing and and coming up with ideas, sharing ideas with y'all this year. Thank you for coming along with me for these Musical Mondays, and I will see you again for more Musical Mondays next fall. All right, everyone, have a great rest of your year. Best of luck, and I will see you this summer at the beach. Hopefully we'll all be rejoicing and having fun and relaxing. So have a great end of the school year. Bye, everyone.